about half the population of the United States. Not quite so much in other countries yet, but of course it is spreading through all the other countries because they are using the same water treatment system as the U.S. And in fact, the ingredients are made by U.S. corporations, maybe European. I'm not that knowledgeable about the corporations. But it could easily remedy. We would not have to have our new diseases. We are getting our new diseases from increased radioactivity coming to us in the water and our tooth fillings. In huge amounts. Now, how would I know that? I would have to test, right? And I'll show you which device I'm using because it has come down in cost to where everybody could own one. Just a moment while I ask where ours is. A newer counter, please. It's called Geiger Miller counter. And it lets you measure the radioactivity in dry veins. There is a different kind of counter intended for measuring wet veins, and I'm always searching for the latest variety within my financial capability, and that way we would be able to measure which part of us is radioactive. And I can't do that yet, except that I can also measure radioactivity with this device. This is called the synchronizer, and I think that anybody can learn to use this. And we are teaching this now in Mexico, which is not mentioned in the handout. So maybe you could write this in on the first page, page 2. New technology, come in scanning. Okay, this is a device that has enabled me to make nearly all my discoveries. It's based on radio technology, so that frequencies are the means of understanding what's going on. It's a child's kit made, I think, for 10 years and up, or 12 and up, so you know there isn't going to be any soldering, and it's not going to consist of 1,000 parts. Maybe you'll have 20 parts to put in, and that's quite doable. And we have 2 new teachers in Mexico, 2 Mexican women, sisters in fact, who have learned this and have got so fascinated by it because it could solve their family's health problems, just what I wanted them to learn. But often it seizes a person and you want to solve your relatives and friends and problems, then you start learning the reality, which is that they don't really care that much, not enough to make much of a sacrifice, and then you also discover the politics in it, where if your doctor thinks you're doing something other than their protocols, they will be quite angry with you, and you really don't want that either. So we're in a world of torn this way and torn that way. But meanwhile, since you can do this independently at home, you have the freedom to find your own causes of your diseases. And I hope that you will find it fascinating. Now this is the Geiger Miller counter I was talking about. Just switch on a button and the light goes on. it also does the timing. So timing and counting should be automatic, and that is down to $525. You can see it in the sources of my book. So it used to be thousands of dollars. Alpha, beta, and gamma. Complete. And that is the underlying cause of our increased parasitism, which then brings us increased bacteria and viruses. And I'm full of them. Now, there's another source. Well, I didn't tell you what the real source of the radioactivity is, except that I said it was coming in your water. About half, well, all of the water has radioactivity in the United States, because all the water is chlorinated. Chlorine is not radioactive. It wouldn't have to be radioactive, but because chlorine is so corrosive, they want the pH, the acidity of it, that's running through their metal pipes, old metal pipes. They want to keep it constant in order not to be corroding the pipe so much and not have so much scale developing. If you talk to an engineer who runs a boiler, they will sure argue against taking out their pipe protector. So we have two huge problems with our water that you never see on the annual report that the water company sends to you. The annual report gives you these marvelous results of all the things they tested. Turbidity. Well, taste. All those things that don't matter so much as health. When you have to add cyanide to prevent pipe destruction, pipe corrosion, and so on, that's going too far to my mind, because cyanides are a chronic toxin of the hugest proportions, and that's what's in your water. Different companies use two different cyanides. One company, the company that is bringing you the radioactivity that causes these 4 diseases, that company is using ferrocyanide, F-E-R-R-O, cyanide, regular cyanide. Of course, it's quite low, but that doesn't really matter. You're drinking water every day, all day. By the time you consume that much, even the tiniest amount matters. The other half of the bleaches on the market, which is chlorinated water, it has bleach in it in order to disinfect the water. The other half is food grade and does not have that particular radioactive element, polonium, which causes those 4 diseases. So half of you are drinking water that is so radioactive that it's bringing us our new diseases. Now, that's maybe a bit of a stretch. The fact that it's causing 4 diseases doesn't mean it's causing all diseases. But I have done a little bit of research into other diseases. For 1 year, I've collected faxes from people who had a family member with a serious disease, either a kidney disease or some other serious disease. I asked for a sample of their water, and all of them had the kind of water with polonium in it. element. I mean, plutonium is worse. But I think that polonium is next. I'm not accurate about that. But polonium should never be anywhere, not in the biological sphere. Doesn't belong in the biological sphere. And nobody knows it's there, as far as I know. It's just a contaminant. And if you wanted to find out if it is there, you couldn't. Because none of the tests require testing for polonium. And if you were worried about any other thing in your water, because you're thinking in a new disease, if it's Lyme disease or whatever the new disease is that you're suffering from, or your family member, you would not be able to investigate it yourself, not even on a simple rational basis, like is it coming from my water? Water, bread, meat, those are the first choices always to consider when some new disaster is coming along. And you are not given the opportunity to do that. We should do something about that freedom that is lacking inadvertently. It's not intentional, we'd say, though of course we know who would object to increasing the length of things that must be regulated in water. The water departments, of course, would not want any lengthening of that list. But we would like to change it all into a significant list. There would be the significant and the secondary list, which is important to know how the water looks and tastes and such things. But most of all, we need to know how much science